Welcome to Awakening Mindfulness at Work, a conversation that matters. I'm Pierre
And I'm Sarah Killeen. We are bringing to you conversations and practices to cultivate presence, calm, and balance in the workplace.
So let's begin right here, right now.
Welcome, everyone, dear mindfulness friends. Cheers to a new week. I'm very curious to discover what today's topic is going to be. But before we do that, let's just set a little bit into the present moment. So wherever you are, maybe looking around, unless you're driving and you can't, you have to keep looking at the road, maybe looking around and just noticing movement. Is there any movement around you? Maybe it's fast movement, like traffic or cars. Maybe it's really subtle movement, a gentle breeze in the tree. Maybe noticing the absence of movement. Maybe you're indoors, nothing is moving. Kind of tuning into that dimension of movement versus stillness, right? Movement, stillness, everything has its own pace. And then coming back to just noticing your body and getting ready to listen to whatever we're going to say. So, Pierre, tell us,
Yeah,
what are we speaking about today?
yeah. So today, Sarah, I would like to go back to a topic we discussed previously, which is about something we hear often, people saying, I don't have time to meditate. So, in that earlier episode, I suggested a whole new perspective, and that is meditation makes time. It makes time. And of course, not to mention that it transforms our time into quality time, which could be, by the way, a whole different episode, which we'll probably get to at some time. But for now, I just want to go back to the concept of meditation makes time. The example I gave last time was when we're faced with a difficult situation, our tendency is to get so entangled in the emotions and the thoughts and spend endless time reliving the experience. Even after the experience is gone, we still keep reliving it. And that takes so much time and energy. However, the trained mind has that skillful means to recognize these patterns and to step out of them with kindness and care and in a fraction of the time. So today, I would like to bring up yet another aspect in which meditation makes time, and that is by enhancing our ability to stay focused on the task or the situation we have happening right now. So, just a bit of a background, a Harvard University study concluded that our mind wanders 47% of the time. That's like 47% of the time. So that means like almost half the time we're actually not even here. And we don't know we're not here until typically after a few minutes go by or longer, then we realize, oh, what was I doing? So so that is fascinating how much our mind wanders. However, with consistent mindfulness meditation practice, we start to notice our mind wandering sooner than later and be able to bring our attention back. So, a task that might take 20 or 30 minutes when our mind is wandering and quite scattered can be done in a fraction of that time. And it can also be more satisfying, more motivating to feel that energy, that productivity, that accomplishment. So yeah, so I'm curious. I'd like to turn this into our discussion, Sarah, and see what might unfold and how where we might take this.
Great. So there's a few things that came up for me, very different things. So let's see where this takes us. The first one was that what you're describing here is really time management at the micro level, which is really amazing. We tend to think about time management as this really big and complex things, and those spreadsheets, even tracking time and the minutes and the hours and the days and coming up with big plans, and that might have, its place as well. Time management really starts at the micro level. This right here, right now, this very minute. What am I doing with my attention? Where am I spending my time? Prior, making sure that the time is not wasted and that the priorities are respected. And it's something we talk as well in our workshops, right? When we talk about the mindful minute in the morning, and we ask ourselves that question, how do I want to be using my time today? What really matters? How can I make sure that this time is going to be put to meaningful use? Which I think is a very important question to ask ourselves, at the start of every day, but continuously, on an ongoing basis during the day. So that's the first thing that came up. Um, and and then the other thing that came up, and this is more of a question or a cube, or I don't know if it's playing devil's advocate or just looking at other avenues, but it's this other question, which is when when would it be possible that not doing all this is actually beneficial? Depending on there are a lot of poets and creative artists are talking about this state of reverie and letting the mind wander, to go to those wonderful places where we get more creative, we have wonderful ideas. So this is also something to explore, I think, and I'm curious what you think about that. So it's a different
Yeah.
way to look at it, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually think the question is about intentionality. So if my mind is wandering without me realizing, and I'm lost in thought, while my intention is to do something else, that is when we can start to become inefficient and probably lose time. But if my intention is to give myself some time to just dream and let my mind go places, that is beautiful. And I think this is something we lack. We don't give ourselves this treat of having some times that are unscheduled, where we just allow ourselves to dream, let the mind go places and experience things and imagine things. So it's the
Mm,
intention part.
mm.
Yeah.
I love that. It's I read quite a few times about how we don't allow ourselves to be bored anymore. Actually, this could be a different topic as well. Let's keep it for a different topic. But um yeah, I really understand what you're talking about is really self-awareness as well. This awareness piece, right? Intentionality, consciousness, awareness. And it's this gift that we have as humans, that we can be aware and we can be conscious and we can be intentional. And I think it's yeah, there's intentionality is great, and then there's following up on that, right? It's wonderful to have
Mhm, mhm,
intentions, but if they just stay at the level of intentions, what's the point? Um, yes, it might make us feel good, when we set the intention,
mhm,
but
mhm,
if it doesn't turn into an actual, behavior down the line, or a benefit, then it's as if we hadn't set an intention in the first place,
mhm, mhm.
often, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, intention needs to somehow, at some point, be accompanied with some action to
Mm.
realize its potential. Yeah. It could be sometimes a
So
longer term intention that we may not do the action so quickly, but it still somehow needs to manifest itself in some kind of concrete way at some point.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess especially in the context of this topic, where the intention is, to be present and to bring the attention back to whatever, is being experienced or being done or being accomplished, or um, I think this is very concretely a reminder to take action as well in the present moment. And so maybe that's a few questions for you now. or maybe just one to start with. What, for you, very concretely, what would be some advice or some tips or some ways that you bring yourself back to present again and again and again so that you make sure that your time
Mm,
is being honored, that you are
mm.
keeping saving your time for what really matters.
Yeah. So, great question. And I think, Sarah, we in some of our workshops, we really tackle many of those issues. What came to mind is writing things down. So if my intention is now to focus on something, is to make a note of this so that my mind can rest and I can have that certainty that this is where I'm going right now. And therefore that becomes the anchor that can help me come back to it. So even if my mind wanders or get interrupted by something, then I know there is an anchor somewhere that's clear and I can bring myself back to it. So I think writing things down is so powerful, and it doesn't have to be extensive. It could be just couple keywords like, okay, this is my intention right now, is to get this specific task accomplished, or to move this interesting initiative forward, or to dream. If we want to go back to your example, like, it'll be nice to have time to just wander and dream. My intention now is to just dream about this potential beautiful initiative that we want to work on, and just be free to be in it. Yeah, so writing things down comes up. And I want to add one more angle here, kind of related, but maybe not directly related to the question, which is um, talking about time and meditation, making time. So if we are intentional about choosing what we want to do in the next whatever period, that alone goes a long way in saving us time and making our time matter, because now we're working on something that we believe is important, as opposed to being in the automatic mode, which is just taking on things. Something, we get this email notification, we jump into it. Then we have this thought about something else, we go with that thought. So it's a whole different way to be present with what we want to do, and that alone can shift our time from being scattered and fragmented into all these little things that we do, to being far more um far more productive. So this working with intention.
I really like what you said there, making time matter, making days matter. And it's something we hear very often as well, that, days pass slowly, but years and decades pass so fast, they go by so fast. And yeah, this concept of really making sure we make time matter. And it's so easy to be, to get into the everyday kind of rhythm and just go through the days and forget that days are sacred. I mean, time is actually, this will be a great way to wrap up, I think. One of my favorite poets, John O'Donoghue, and you know how much I respect that wonderful poet, Irish poet. In one of his books, he speaks about each day being like a frame, a sacred place and frame, and that your life becomes the shape of the days that you inhabit, which I think is so beautiful. Your life becomes the shape of the days that you inhabit. So every day matters, and your life becomes the shapes of the day you inhabit. Um, and sadly, in modern life, sometimes it's like a cage, right? That's the shape. So how can we make sure that, yeah, we really make time matter? Yeah, that's a wonderful way.
Yeah, yeah, nice, nice. And this brings us to the habit that I know we adopt, but also we try to talk about it in various settings. And that's starting the day with a mindful minute before we get, dragged into all the external things that are happening, starting with a little bit of what is important, what do I want to accomplish today, and let our intuition come up with something.
Mm,
um, and also giving a little more thought, how do I want to be today? So how do I want to make this frame for the day be really intentional and start to adapt to more as we go through the days.
mm.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not just what do I want to put out there, but also what do I want to allow myself to receive. Wonderful. I love this approach.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you all who have listened to this, and looking forward to the next episode. So many
Yes.
topics came up today that we can expand on, so that's great.
Yes. Looking forward to next week already. And thank you all so much for listening.